Part 34. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 342. Although Duan Yunzheng encountered the black rotten wooden box, the treasure hunt plate in his hand was still glowing. The direction it points to remains unchanged, and the light shines brighter and brighter. Therefore, Duan Yunzheng concluded that this rotten black wooden box that came from nowhere was not the treasure he was looking for, but was just an accidental gain on the way to find it. "Little guy, aren't you afraid that I will kill you?" On the ancient ship, Duan Yunzheng's shameless muttering was heard, and the voice said faintly inside the black rotten wooden box. "Infinite Heavenly Lord, Senior has lived in the sea of 10,000 realms for endless years without even seeing a bird feather. Don't you feel lonely? I have good intentions and want to save you, Senior, from the sea of misery. Senior, you must not misunderstand my good intentions." Duan Yunzheng's voice was full of emotion. In fact, in his heart, he didn't care at all. "Just kidding. If you could really kill Pandeo, why not hide in a rotten wooden box and float on the sea of all realms? For so long? Anyone who had the strength to leave this place would probably have left long ago." "Leave? Well, although I don't think there is any hope, I still have to try again. The ban on the damn world is open, and you can find me again. Maybe it is a kind of fate." The voice in the black rotten wooden box said faintly. "Senior, you haven't told me your identity yet." Duan Yunzheng asked curiously as he urged the treasure ship to move forward. The person in the black rotten wooden box just said that he had come from the fairyland, but he never pointed out his identity. Although Duan Yunzheng had just come to the fairyland, knows little about the immortal realm. "But I also know that the restriction on the seaside of the 10,000 realms has just been broken, and the existence of those immortal kings has just entered this place not long ago. The existence in this rotten wooden box, I'm afraid that he has lived for endless years as he said. Moreover, Huang's name was just mentioned in his mouth. You must know that Huang is also manifested in the lower world. The darkness that affects the entire lower world is blocked by Huang. Since the existence in this black rotten wooden box knows Huang's existence, he might be a contemporary of Huang. But why did he live in such a miserable state? Not to mention that his body is gone. Being trapped in this black rotten wooden box is really too miserable. My identity? I said that I am the first emperor in all the worlds since the beginning of the world. Do you believe it?" The being in the black rotten wooden box said in a deep voice. "Emperor? I believe." Duan Yunzheng blinked and nodded firmly. It is still possible for the first great emperor to exist. This also proves why the sky is so miserable now. It seems that practicing fast is of no use. It's the immortal emperor. Above the immortal king, standing at the pinnacle of all heavens and worlds, an existence that no one can rival. The being in the black rotten wooden box had a slight hint of anger in his voice. This little fat man's words were really irritating. What kind of emperor? How could that kind of cultivation be worthy of his status? Do you know who I am? Unexpectedly, after listening to the sound coming from the black rotten wooden box, Duan Yunzheng's face did not show any look of shock, but instead changed to a deep expression. "Who are you? How do I know?" The being in the rotten wooden box was startled. Who is this fat Taoist priest? How could he know? But judging from his low cultivation and poor talent, he must be some unknown person. "I have wandered to the end of time. I have searched all over the world for ancient ruins. I once pointed out the famine. I have been worshipped by hundreds of millions of people." Duan Yunzheng said in a deep voice. "However, that is history now, and I am who I am now. However, my identity in the past shone brightly across the world, making all the beings in the world tremble. In the past, I had a name, Lord of Heaven." The ancient ship fell into silence for a moment. The black rotten wooden box exuded a faint light, and the people inside the box seemed to be shocked by Duan Yunshen's shamelessness. But this guy couldn't feel it himself. He put his hands on his hips and looked like he was inferior to me. This fat guy is so shameless. Duan Yunshen's performance made Qin Mu, who was standing aside, happy. You are the Lord of Heaven, then who am I? This fat Taoist priest is really bold. He dares to say anything and even dares to pretend to be his own identity. The joke in his heart made Qin Mu even more moved, causing Jushin's color to change, and turned into several divine thunders, which flew directly towards Duan Yunseng on the ancient ship. Boom! The divine thunder fell, hitting Duan Yunshen's body impartially. The majestic power of divine thunder directly split his skin and flesh, causing him to scream repeatedly, and a burning breath came from his body. No, I apologize. Duan Yunseng raised his head and looked up at the sky, gritting his teeth in pain. He was just having an addiction and wanted to deceive the existence in this rotten wooden box. It's not like he is the real Lord of God, so why did he attract Where's the Thunder? Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 343. At this moment, Duan Yunseng was covered in green smoke, and his Taoist robe had several huge holes ripped out, and there was a faint smell of barbecue. Damn it, infinite heavenly Lord, couldn't he be heard by the real Lord of Heaven? Duan Yunseng grinned and twisted his butt, his eyes rolled, and his face looked a little flustered. Although he was just bragging. It would be a little embarrassing if the real owner knew about it. How could a supremely majestic being like the Lord of Heaven pay attention to the whispers of ants? The being in the black rotten wooden box seemed to be aware of Duan Yunshen's thoughts, and his voice was slightly joking. However, it seems that all the ways of heaven and earth must surrender to such a supreme existence. If you recite his true name, you will naturally be affected by heaven and earth. If you disrespect him, you will naturally be punished. I just didn't expect that the punishment from heaven and earth would be so light. Could it be that you really have something to do with the legendary Lord of Heaven? Speaking of the latter, the voice coming from the black rotten wooden box was slightly solemn. A being as supreme as the Lord of Heaven, even heaven and earth cannot bear his way and must surrender to him. This kind of existence that is above all the heavens will be sensed by heaven and earth if anyone chants his true name in all heavens and worlds. If you worship and pray sincerely, you will be fine. But if you slander or have bad thoughts in your heart, heaven and earth will automatically send down punishment. The act of pretending to be the Lord of Heaven, as Duan Yunseng did just now, should even be regarded as a crime of great disrespect. But God only sent down a few thunderbolts, small punishments and big warnings, not too harsh punishments. The meaning of this is somewhat intriguing. Because of such a crime, even a true immortal must suffer the most severe punishment in heaven and earth. It may range from being seriously injured and severely damaged in cultivation to being seriously injured and may even lead to death. But now, Duan Yunseng basically only suffered some flesh injuries, without damaging the foundation, and there was no pain or itching at all. So, there is only one possibility. That is this fat Taoist priest. Although he cannot be the Lord of God, he may really be related to the real Lord of God. Interesting, interesting. The mysterious being in the black rotten wooden box said one after another, and then the voice fell silent again. No matter what Duan Yunseng said, the being in the black rotten wooden box stopped talking. Duan Yunseng, who felt bored, could only temporarily put down his inquiries. Thinking about the true identity of this black rotten wooden box, I followed the direction indicated by the treasure hunt plate wholeheartedly. Although this black rotten wooden box was an unexpected gain, the real purpose of entering the Sea of All Realms this time has not yet been revealed. Achieved. Duan Yunseng urged the treasure ship to move forward. After several months, the treasure hunt plate suddenly bloomed with boundless brilliance. The pointer of the treasure hunt plate finally no longer pointed in any direction, but started to spin crazily. The treasure is right here. Duan Yunshen's spirit was shaken, and his fat face showed joy. He knew that he had finally arrived. The direction pointed by the treasure hunt plate was right here. But where is the treasure? Duan Yunsheng murmured and looked around. However, he found that all around the treasure ship was a vast sea of worlds, and there was no existence of anything at all. No, could it be that I made a mistake? I can't. Duan Yunsheng was a little confused. It doesn't look like there is a treasure here. Could it be that the treasure hunt plate pointed to the wrong place? Duan Yunsheng shook his head and denied this possibility. Ever since he got the treasure hunt plate, it has never malfunctioned. However, it has always been very useful. There is no reason why there will be errors in the guidance now. Could it be said that, this treasure is in the Sea of All Realms? Duan Yunsheng lowered his head and glanced at the dark and deep Sea of All Realms at his feet, and couldn't help but swallowed. The Black Sea water, as if there is a kind of soul-stirring magic power, which makes people feel fearful and want to stay away. But if the treasure is really in the sea, then Duan Yunsheng cannot avoid it no matter what. Damn it, infinite heavenly Lord, forget it, wealth is gained through danger, we have come to this point anyway, Master Tao, can I still retreat? Duan Yunsheng gritted his teeth and seemed to have made up his mind. Then he held the treasure hunt plate and the black rotten wooden box and jumped into the sea with a plop. After Duan Yunsheng jumped into the Sea of All Realms and dived into the depths of the Sea of Boundaries, the sea surface fell into the sea again. Tranquility. I don't know how much time passed before waves appeared on the sea surface again. Call. I'm so scared. Immediately afterwards, Duan Yunshen's head was exposed. Then, he rose into the air and jumped onto the treasure ship. In his hand, he actually held an artifact that exuded a gleaming treasure light. It was an artifact that had been broken into pieces. Of the two halves of the sword embryo, only the lower half is now in Duan Yunshen's hand. The sword embryo is simple, and the surface is covered with rust, as if it is completely decayed, and there is no trace of a treasure at all. That's it? Duan Yunsheng looked at the sword embryo in his hand with a look of disgust and astonishment. Is it this sword embryo that was broken into two halves and looked like it was going to completely rot? Is this the treasure that made the treasure hunt plate react so violently? Damn it, did you do it? Wrong. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 344. Infinite Heavenly Lord, did you make a mistake? Duan Yunsheng looked at the ancient sword embryo in his hand that was broken into two pieces, leaving only the lower half, and covered with rust all over. He had the urge to vomit blood. He worked hard and spent thousands of years cultivating in order to condense the Tao body. He entered the Sea of 10,000 Realms. In the end, he got such a treasure? This result made Duan Yunsheng find it difficult to accept. He thought it was some kind of treasure, but the result was this. Just like this. Is a tattered sword embryo that was broken into two parts worthy of making the treasure hunt plate shine so brightly? This is unscientific. This sudden blow simply made Duan Yunsheng want to shut himself down. However, at this moment, bursts of deep laughter came from the black rotten wooden box on the side. Haha, it turned out to be that person's weapon, no wonder. Whose weapons? Duan Yunsheng scratched his head and turned his eyes to the black rotten wooden box aside. Shortage. The mysterious being in the black rotten wooden box spoke concisely, and only revealed this one word. A wild weapon. Duan Yunsheng blinked and glanced at the rusty sword embryo in his hand. It was really difficult to connect this weapon with the existence that had been arbitrary for eternity countless years ago. Are you sure you're not lying to me? Duan Yunsheng said suspiciously. He really couldn't believe it. That kind of existence would actually use such a junk weapon? Moreover, even if it was really the weapon of that existence, how could it be broken now? That kind of existence, how could he let his weapon fall into the sea of all realms without caring about it? This is a magic weapon that fell from the sky. It was once controlled by me in the past, and then passed into Wang's hands after countless generations. The mysterious being in the rotten wooden box said slowly. I didn't know it in the past, and thought that the dying Hunyuan was the source of darkness, but now, thinking about it carefully, I was wrong. The real root cause may be the sword embryo. When it came, it was older than when the Hunyuan came, and no one in charge of it after me had ever had good results. This is a truly ferocious weapon. Even if you are a powerful person, you still cannot get rid of its influence. However, now this fierce weapon is broken. Is it intentional? Or did he still fail to break this curse and encounter something unexpected? The tone that existed in the black rotten wooden box was extremely deep. Duan Yunshen's scalp tightened and his back felt cold. The broken sword embryo in his hand was more like turning into a hot potato. He could not hold it and throw it away. No more. Infinite Heavenly Lord, are you trying to scare me? Duan Yunzheng looked at the rotten black wooden box beside him and said doubtfully. After saying so much, this guy couldn't be scaring himself to throw away this hard-earned treasure, right? Moreover, how could this guy treat the ancients? Do you know the matter so clearly? Duan Yunzheng would not believe that he was the dark immortal emperor of the past. It was really difficult for him to connect such an existence that stirred up the world with this black rotten wooden box. This they are all so miserable. In the past, he was a supreme being? In a different place, if Duan Yunzheng was like this, he would probably find a place to crash to death and lose the shame to continue living. Therefore, it can be inferred that this black rotten the being in the wooden box may really be an antique from ancient times, but it is definitely not too powerful. As for everything he said, it is just half truth and half lie. The truth is mixed with some lies. This kind of lie is the most difficult to distinguish. So, since this guy persuaded me to throw away this tattered sword embryo, then think about it. On the contrary, this sword embryo might actually be some kind of treasure. Thinking of this, Duan Yunshen's eyes couldn't help but become firm, and he tightly grasped the tattered sword embryo in his hand. Let Master Tao throw away the treasure that I finally got, and don't even think about it. Haha, this is cause and effect and destiny. The black rotten wooden box glowed slightly. Every being whose destiny intersects with it will have difficulty escaping from the same ending, and once they meet, it will never be possible to escape. Huang, maybe you did it deliberately and threw this ominous sword embryo here. But would you have imagined this scene today? Haha, this ominous sword embryo is enough to distort the fate of any living being and destroy everything. No living being can escape such an ending, no. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 345. The black rotten wooden box glowed slightly, but the words he spoke seemed a bit scary. Does this broken sword embryo really represent something unknown? Nobody knows. However, Duan Yunzheng went through untold hardships and spent thousands of years of cultivation to transform into a clone, and finally obtained the sword embryo from the Sea of 10,000 Realms. Now if he was asked to throw it away again, Duan Yunzheng would not agree to it no matter what. Therefore, he decisively ignored the sound coming from the black rotten wooden box, put away the sword embryo, and quickly returned. The return journey was uneventful, with no unexpected or unknown occurrences. So Duan Yunshen's heart, which he had always been holding on to, finally slowly let go. What kind of weapon is full of foreboding? I think it is just a story made up to deceive poor people. If it is really full of foreboding, how can it be so calm all the way back? Seeing the endless dam boundary right in front of him, Duan Yusheng finally felt relieved. Haha, how can the innate beings understand cause and effect and destiny? When you get the sword embryo, Your fate has been entangled with it, and it is no longer possible to escape. The being in the black rotten wooden box didn't seem to want to talk to Duan Yun's Hung, and his voice was slightly contemptuous. Infinite Heavenly Lord. Pandeo saved you from this vast sea of world, but you are not grateful to Pandeo, but instead mocked me. Duan Yun's Hung was dissatisfied, a little angry, and looked around on the black rotten wooden box with malicious eyes. After talking for so long, you have never told me your true identity. What are you doing hiding in this shabby turtle shell? Are you unable to come out, or are you unwilling to come out? If you can't get out, Master Dao, I can help you. Duan Yun's Hung has long been curious about the identity of the person in this black rotten wooden box. Regarding the existence in this black rotten wooden box, Duan Yun's Hung does not believe anything he said to himself before. If it is really like what he said, so amazing, how could we end up in such a miserable situation today? Haha, if you really want to do this, the consequences may be unbearable for you. The being in the black rotten wooden box let out a meaningful laugh, which made Duan Yun's Hung feel a little chilly. There seemed to be a feeling that if this black rotten wooden box was broken, extremely unknown consequences would occur. Forget it, I'll just hand you over to those immortal kings later and let them have a headache. Duan Yun's Hung shook his head and stopped thinking about this issue. Anyway, this black rotten wooden box is of little use to him. It is better to hand it over to the ruthless emperor and others after returning to the damn world. Let them explore the secret of this black rotten wooden box. The specific origin is ready. Came back. Behind the embankment realm, Duan Yun's Hung, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly shook his body and showed joy. The clone he transformed finally returned from the Sea of 10,000 Realms and arrived at the embankment realm. At this moment, he was handing over the rotten black wooden box to the ruthless emperor and other immortal kings. You said, you got this black rotten wooden box from the Sea of all Realms. King Xian looked at Duan Yun's Hung with a hint of surprise in his voice. Did this guy really discover something from the Sea of 10,000 Realms? Before, Duan Yun's Hung sneaked into the Sea of 10,000 Realms. Although the immortal kings above the Dam realm, they all saw it, but no one cared about it. Because Duan Yunshan's cultivation level is too weak, he has not even reached the realm of true immortals, he is just the supreme one. With such cultivation level, entering this dangerous sea of 10,000 realms, I'm afraid it was a problem to even save one's life, let alone gain something. However, no one thought that this fat Taoist priest from the lower world not only came back alive from the Sea of 10,000 Realms, but also seemed to have really gained something. Where did you get this black rotten wooden box? Xian Wang looked at the black rotten wooden box in front of him, and he didn't pay too much attention to it at first. Because it looked too ordinary, and there was nothing eye-catching about it. However, when he heard that the black rotten wooden box contained, hiding the soul of an old antique from endless years ago, and after knowing the existence of Huang, King Xian's face instantly became serious. Even several other immortal kings who were still in the state of realization, all woke up from their cultivation. They cast their gazes on Duan Yun's Hung. With the gazes of so many immortal kings gathered together, the overwhelming aura made the air freeze. Duan Yun's Hung almost died. He sat down on the ground. Looking at the serious looks on the faces of these immortal kings, Duan Yun's Hung couldn't help but be confused. What the hell, isn't it just a tattered black wooden box? Is it so serious? Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 346. Duan Yun's Hung first came to the immortal realm, so naturally he didn't know everything that had happened before. Even the news related to Huang only came to him from the lower realm. Therefore, only King Xian and others knew how important the existence in this black rotten wooden box was and how important the information related to Huang was. You know, in the entire ancient history, all the records about Huang have been almost completely wiped out, and no one knows about it at all. But now, the being in this black rotten wooden box knows the information related to Huang. The meaning behind this is really too amazing. Could he be a contemporary of Huang? King Mo stepped forward, with a pair of eyes shining brightly, like two suns, staring closely at the black rotten wooden box. Open it and witness everything. Pan King waved, and a huge axe shining with deep purple light appeared in his palm. It looked like it was going to chop the black rotten wooden box into pieces. Don't be impulsive. The ancient king raised his hand and stopped Pan Wang's move. I don't know how to call this senior. Xian Wang cupped his hands towards the black rotten wooden box and said. The existence in this black rotten wooden box has always existed in the Sea of 10,000 Realms. I still don't know the cultivation level, but knowing the existence of Huang is definitely better than those who are present. All people must be ancient. In this case, even if it is called a senior with the dignity of King Xian, it is reasonable. My identity has already been told to this little guy. In the black rotten wooden box, bursts of deep laughter came. Are you the highest combat power in the immortal realm? Billions of years have passed, and only a few immortal kings have been born, and the quasi-immortal emperors have all disappeared. It seems that the immortal realm has indeed declined. It said that he was the first immortal emperor among all the heavens and worlds in the past. Seeing all the immortal king's eyes falling on him, Duan Yunzheng swallowed his saliva and said. This guy is obviously lying. What kind of existence is the immortal emperor? How could this guy be the immortal emperor? Maybe he really wasn't wrong. King Xian glanced at Duan Yunzheng and said meaningfully. Previously, in the long history of the ancient king's manifestation, they had witnessed the majesty of the real strong men of the great Luo immortal emperor realm fighting each other. Then such strength and means are unimaginable and unfathomable for acquired creatures. With the existence of De Luo, during battles, it can easily cut off the long river of time, change history, and cause everything that acquired creatures are familiar with to be destroyed. It has been turned upside down and confused. But now, all the spirits in the world, and even all the historical records, have no information related to Huang, not even a trace of records. You must know that Huang was the great Luo immortal emperor in the past. An existence that pacifies the darkness and chaos in the heavens. But now, in all the heavens and worlds, no living thing knows of his existence, and no deeds related to him are spread. This in itself is an extremely abnormal thing. But now, the being in this black rotten wooden box knows about Wang's existence. For Xian Wang and others who are eager for more information about Huang, this is definitely exciting news. Senior, is this the soul of the dark immortal emperor before he fell? The ancient king guessed. When he was swimming upstream in the long river of history and witnessing all the truth, that drop of black blood fell from the sky, causing the fall of the first immortal emperor in all worlds. But now he found that resistance was useless, and he was being destroyed by the power of darkness. When the power of darkness slowly invaded, the dark immortal emperor cut out all the parts of his body and soul that had not been blackened. This part of the body and soul was least affected by the power of darkness. But later, the remaining part of the darkness the immortal emperor turned completely black. Not only did he completely degenerate, he also wanted to follow the trend and use the hand of the Hunyuan existence to destroy all realms and achieve his own goal. However, in the end, he did not succeed, but was destroyed by Huang. The plan has been in vain for eternity. However, what will happen to the part of the pure soul and body that the dark immortal emperor cut out in the end? In the end, it is still unknown. You little guys know a lot. A slightly surprised voice came from the black rotten wooden box. Haha, yes, I am the part of the soul that was cut off from the original body. Billions of years have passed, and I have always stayed in the Sea of 10,000 Realms, smiling at the sea turning into dust, and the great world changing. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 347. It really is. After hearing the voice coming from the black rotten wooden box, King Xian and others were shocked. Although they had not verified it yet, they could not help but believe it in their hearts. Without him, all records related to the wilderness would have been lost in the dust of history. It is an incredible thing that the being in this black rotten wooden box can know the existence of Huang. Moreover, it still exists in the Sea of 10,000 Realms. The Sea of 10,000 Realms is independent from the immortal realm. It has been banned by the ancient ban before and is not visible in the human world, and the dangers in it are endless. The existence in this black rotten wooden box can survive for such a long time in the Sea of thousands of realms, which is definitely not something that ordinary surviving beings can do. Duan Yun's Hung, who was standing aside, couldn't help but froze when he saw the solemn expressions of King Xian Panwang and others. Infinite Heavenly Lord. No way. Could it be that the being in this black rotten wooden box is really the remaining soul of the powerful immortal emperor in the past? You know, before, he had always regarded the existence in this black rotten wooden box as a liar and didn't believe it at all. Seniors, we have traveled upstream in history and witnessed some of the truth from eons ago. But much of history remains shrouded in mystery. I wonder if the seniors can help us resolve our doubts and restore the historical truth of eternity ago. Xian Wan cupped his hands and said. They had previously traveled up the long river of history with the help of a little bit of the ancient king's true spirit. Although they had witnessed part of the historical truth, it was not complete after all. And the existence in this black rotten wooden box was all these things from the past. The first emperor in the world. Even though he was separated by the dark immortal emperor before, he must know the complete situation of that magnificent history. Ha ha ha, the historical truth from endless years ago. How do you know that I will tell you? In other words, how do you know that I will tell you the truth? How do you know that I am on your side and have not been infected by the darkness and transformed into an existence similar to the original body? Inside the black rotten wooden box, the laughter of the partial immortal emperor's soul came. Although the sound was not loud, it had a soul-stirring magic power. We believe that our seniors will not lie to us. King Xian said calmly. If the senior has really been infected and corrupted by the darkness, Emperor Huangtian certainly would not have allowed his senior to exist before he left for heaven. King Xian and others are naturally not afraid. In the past, there was an unprecedented and brilliant battle that decided the fate of all the worlds in the world for endless years. Emperor Huangtian defeated the Dark Immortal Emperor and ushered in the peace of all the worlds in these endless years. As the winner, Huangtian Emperor will definitely not allow the threat of the Dark Immortal Emperor to exist before leaving. If some of the Immortal Emperor souls in this black rotten wooden box have been infected and corrupted by darkness. With Huangtian Emperor the strength of the Deluo realm is almost omniscient and omnipotent. He must be aware of its existence. He has already eliminated this part of the Immortal Emperor's soul. How could it be allowed to survive until now? Therefore, the only explanation is that this black rotten wood, some of the Immortal Emperor's souls in the box have not turned black and still belong to all sentient beings. In this way, Emperor Huangtian will keep him. Hee, ha ha, it's a pity that you only guessed half of it right. A horrifying laughter came from inside the black rotten wooden box. You are indeed right about one thing. I am indeed not infected by the darkness, and this part of my soul is still pure and flawless. Otherwise, Huang really wanted to get rid of me before leaving. However, before Huang left, he did not really clear away the darkness in all the heavens and worlds. Otherwise, how do you think the Sea of 10,000 Realms came from? What? When the ancient king and others heard this, their bodies were shaken, and then their faces showed awe. They had indeed ignored this issue before. Senior, do you mean that the Sea of 10,000 Realms exists to isolate darkness? However, in that battle that year, the Dark Immortal Emperor had already been killed by Huang. Could it be that even with Huang's strength, he could not completely clear away the darkness in all the worlds? King Xian asked. Completely clear? Easier said than done. The origin of darkness in all the heavens and worlds comes from the supreme Hunyuan. Huang is just entering the Deluo realm for the first time, so how can he clear away all the darkness? I might as well tell you that this world has long been infected by darkness, and it has penetrated deep into the bone marrow. Even desolation cannot eradicate it. Why do you think Huang slashed out the Sea of 10,000 Realms with one sword and sealed it completely? With his supreme power, he sealed all the original power of darkness in the world at the end of the Sea of Worlds. But it's a pity that endless years have passed, and the power of darkness is still spreading. Now, the realm of darkness that is the enemy of your fairy realm is formed by part of the original power of darkness that spreads out from the end of the Sea of all realms. The being in the black rotten wooden box slowly spoke, telling the news that shocked many immortal kings present. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 348. The realm of darkness that has been the enemy of the immortal realm for endless years was actually formed by a bit of dark power seeping out from the end of the world sea. In the black rotten wooden box, the voice of the immortal emperor's soul was ringing in the ears of all the immortal kings like a morning bell. This message is enough to shake the world forever and subvert everyone's cognition and imagination. The realm of darkness was actually formed in this way. King Xian's voice is extremely difficult. Was the Sea of 10,000 Realms created by the desolate years to separate the source of darkness from the eternal heavens? The ancient king was disappointed. Before, he was still thinking about how the Sea of 10,000 Realms was formed. Unexpectedly, the truth was revealed now. This Sea of 10,000 Realms was actually created by desolation. The essence of Hunyuan is transcendent and supreme, and it can travel through all realms and cannot be eliminated at all. In the past, although Huang killed the main body, the existence of the great Luo immortal emperor realm had already approached immortality in nature. This kind of existence, as long as there is still a trace or a concept in the heavens and worlds, they will return again after endless years. Unless the existence that has been promoted to be above Hunyuan can completely erase the imprint of a great Luo or Hunyuan in this immeasurable cosmic sea. Otherwise, even if he could defeat a Deluo immortal emperor, he would not be able to completely obliterate it. In the black rotten wooden box, the deep laughter of that part of the immortal emperor's soul came from. Therefore, before leaving, Huang used the power of the heaven and earth to force most of the source of darkness to the end of the Sea of 10,000 Realms and blocked it with great magic power. Then he cut out the boundless Sea of 10,000 Realms with one sword, blocking this realm from the immortal realm. Haha, what a pity. He wants to be a dictator for eternity and fight all misfortunes and difficulties for all sentient beings. But the result was completely beyond his imagination. At the very least, today's realm of darkness is something that Huang can't even imagine. The senior just said that Huang has isolated most of the source of darkness to the end of the Sea of all realms. In other words, is there still a part of the source of darkness left? Xian Wang frowned, keenly aware of the meaning of this part of the immortal emperor's soul words. Yes, there is indeed a part of the power of the dark origin left. This part of the power of the dark origin, not even Huang, has ever discovered it. The immortal emperor's soul spoke. Originally, in his imagination, all the power of the dark origin had been blocked by him at the end of the Sea of all realms. Even though these powers of darkness will gradually recover, the speed of recovery is extremely slow. Aramoto wanted to go to the sky, and then come back when he was strong enough to eradicate this part of the original power of darkness and deal with the threat of the mysterious Hunyuan. However, he forgot one thing. That is all the power of darkness, which has not been completely sealed by him. There is still part of the original power of darkness wandering outside. Even he had never discovered this part of the original power of darkness. Because this part of the original power of darkness is rooted in the deepest part of the will of heaven and earth. No one thought, not even Huang knew, that the will of heaven in all heavens and worlds had been infected from the beginning. And the current realm of darkness is the part of the will of heaven that was infected by the power of the source of darkness. Over these endless years, the original power of darkness in the dark realm has gradually grown, and has fed back the power of darkness at the end of the sea of all realms. I'm afraid that it won't take too long for the power of darkness at the end of the sea of 10,000 realms to fully mature and transform into a new dark immortal emperor. Without the arrival of Hunyuan, this dark immortal emperor is enough to carry out the act of destroying the world. What? This. The dark immortal emperor will be resurrected. The voice of the immortal emperor's soul in the black rotten wooden box shook the bodies of King Xian and others. Their eyes were also full of disbelief. These words were indeed beyond their imagination. No one had expected that in front of the existence of the mysterious Hunyuan that will arrive at some unknown time. The dark immortal emperor, who has been killed by Huang long ago, is about to be resurrected first. But, that's not right. In the past, at the border between the two realms, I once saw a monument. The name of the wilderness was engraved on the monument. At that time, the realm of darkness already existed. King Xian frowned and suddenly remembered a question. He had gone to the frontier wilderness before, and during the battle between the two realms of geniuses, a fairy tablet appeared with the name of Huang engraved on it. At that time, the realm of immortality and the realm of darkness, all of them already exist. But this contradicts everything that the soul of this immortal emperor said. Haha, it is indeed a summer insect that you cannot talk to. A slightly disdainful laugh came from the black rotten wooden box. How could the world in the eyes of immortal Emperor De Luo be the same as yours? The so-called timeline is nothing more than a cognitive barrier that obscures the perception of your inborn souls. In De Luo's eyes, there is no concept of time at all, and there is no so-called history at all. Because they are the oldest ones on a timeline. What you are on is the timeline where you and this world intersect, not the timeline where the wilderness is. He does not belong to this ancient history. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 349. He does not belong to this ancient history. The immortal emperor's soul spoke, shocking all directions, causing the souls of the ancient King Xian and other immortal kings to resonate with it. But even so, everyone's thinking was still extremely difficult to understand the true meaning of the immortal emperor's soul words. After all, the realm of De Luo immortal emperor is too far away from them. The world in the eyes of those beings is completely different from the world in their eyes. If you don't reach that realm, I'm afraid it will always be difficult to understand its true meaning. However, only one thing is certain now. That was before Huang Lin entered the heaven, he once wanted to use his own power to cut off all the darkness in the heavens and the world and protect all living beings in peace. But now it seems that he failed, or only partially succeeded. Although most of the darkness was successfully isolated at the end of the sea of all realms, there was still a small part of the darkness that was rooted in the deepest part of the world, like maggots on the Tarsus, and could not be eradicated at all. And it is this part of the darkness rooted in the depths of the world that finally turned into the mortal enemy of the domain, the dark domain. Now, this part of darkness is gradually developing and growing, and is feeding back the world of the Queen of the Sea of all realms, and is about to give birth to a new dark immortal emperor. However, if Senior knew all this, why didn't he tell Huang? The ancient king frowned. The soul of the immortal emperor in this black rotten wooden box knows so many secrets. Why not tell you Huang all this at the moment before Huang leaves, so that he can eradicate all darkness? After all, look, the current situation is that the soul of the immortal emperor in this black rotten wooden box has not been infected by the darkness, and the soul is still pure and flawless. In other words, his heart should still be with the heavens and the world, not with the dark immortal emperor's group. Otherwise, Huang would have eradicated him long ago. But in that case, why didn't he tell Huang his findings? Unreachable. In the black rotten wooden box, the voice of the immortal emperor's soul was very cold. This emperor is just a part of the soul separated from the real immortal emperor. At that time, Huang was already in a state of complete victory, and he briefly held the power of heaven in all the worlds. Even he didn't notice it at that time. How could this emperor find out about all this at that time? All of this was naturally discovered by me after Huang left, and the power of darkness rooted in the depths of the world gradually awakened and turned into a realm of darkness, feeding back to the end of the Sea of Worlds. Hearing this answer, the ancient king was slightly surprised, but then he could only nod with a wry smile. Because he found that what the immortal emperor's soul said was indeed correct. Yes, even Huang at the time did not discover this. Everything. What was in the black rotten wooden box was just part of the pure soul of the immortal emperor. It was far inferior to Huang. How could he have discovered it at that time? Do you know why the realm of darkness has been at war with you and others for hundreds of millions of years? In the black rotten wooden box, the laughter of the immortal emperor's soul was a little scary. Those creatures in the dark realm are nothing more than pitiful pawns. That part of the darkened heavenly Dao has already invaded and controlled everything they have. And in these endless years, he controlled them and fought endlessly against the immortal realm. The purpose is to continuously harvest the power of darkness and feed back the sea of all realms. This is a long and vast project that cannot be completed overnight. Otherwise, with the power of the dark heaven, the so-called abyss of two realms cannot trap him at all. In an instant, he was able to destroy the two abyss, causing the dark realm to invade the immortal realm. But he didn't do that. His purpose was just to nourish the cup. These countless living beings are just worms in his cup. They can only turn into withered bones according to his rules and become his nourishment. It's a pity that even the main body has never seen this. The drop of black blood fell, causing the body to fall into darkness. The main body also thought about using this opportunity to break the identity of the chess pieces, overturn the chessboard, and become the chess player. However, Hunyuan's methods are too lofty and unimaginable. Even the original body has never been discovered. Long before that drop of black blood completely infected and corrupted him. All the ways in this world have been quietly infected by the Hunyuan, and a seed has been left behind. Now, this seed has become a cancer, rooted in the deepest part of the world, continuously accumulating nutrients. When the dark immortal emperor appears again and executes the will of Hunyuan, he destroys all the heavens and worlds. Everything will return to the starting point. This world still cannot escape the fate of being exterminated, and will become the nourishment to help the Hunyuan to resurrect. All of this, as early as the beginning of eternity, had been seen and taken into consideration by that Hunyuan being. He is omniscient and omnipotent, and can calculate everything. There is no secret to him in anything in the world. Therefore, even now, everything is still just a chess piece on his chessboard, and has never deviated from its previous direction. The only exception is Na Huang. But chess pieces are chess pieces, so what if they jump off the chessboard temporarily? After all, it is inevitable to fall on the chessboard again and become a chess piece again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 350. Even if you think you have jumped out of the chessboard, you still cannot avoid the fate of becoming a chess piece. In the black rotten wooden box, the words of the immortal emperor's soul were like a basin of cold water poured on everyone's heads. None of them knew that before the endless years, Huang could be said to have succeeded, but at the same time, he could also be considered a failure. He successfully defeated the dark immortal emperor and delayed the coming of darkness and the destruction of all worlds. But at the same time, the real darkness has not been eliminated by him. It is still rooted in the deepest part of the world, like maggots in the tarsal bones, and it is difficult to get rid of it. Moreover, after hundreds of millions of years of recuperation, this darkness has slowly developed and is nurturing a deeper darkness. Time is also fate. After being promoted to the great Lugo immortal emperor, one can already be regarded as a supreme being who is omniscient and omnipotent and free from the law of cause and effect and reincarnation. But no matter what, they are all above de Lugo. The heaven and earth are chaotic, and everything is deceived. People who are both great Lugo cannot see each other's destiny and cause and effect clearly. But Hunyuan, who is superior to de Lugo, can see through all the essence of de Lugo. Wang's various actions must have been expected by the dark Hunyuan. It was really a good plan and a good calculation. In the black rotten wooden box, the immortal emperor's soul spoke, but there was a hint of unwillingness in his voice. Hundreds of millions of years ago, he also reached the top, overlooking the world. But what did he get in the end? He was killed by a drop of heaven. Infected by the black blood dripping from his body, he fell into darkness. In desperation, he separated this part of the pure soul for future success. But in the end, he failed. Neither his body nor him. The defeat was extremely tragic. His body was destroyed by the wilderness, and his body and soul disappeared. And he, drifting alone on the sea of 10,000 realms for endless years, could only watch the power of darkness grow stronger day by day, but he was helpless. And all of this must have been understood by the mysterious Hunyuan, and everything is in his plan. It is really like the man playing chess, the heavens and the worlds, the billions of sentient beings, and even this. All heavens and all realms itself is just a chess piece on his chessboard. Even Na Huang seems to have defeated the dark immortal emperor, defeated fate, and saved all heavens and all realms. Who knows, but all this maybe is this exactly what the Hunyuan being wants to see. The desolation achieved by the condensation of hundreds of millions of fortunes in all the heavens and worlds is ultimately just a chess piece that defeated this Hunyuan being. The real darkness it has not yet been eradicated, but is still continuously harvesting everything in the world, turning it into the most intense and profound power of darkness, becoming the nourishment prepared for that Hunyuan existence. Do you know why, after hundreds of millions of years have passed, the most powerful being born in the immortal realm is just the immortal king? In the black rotten wooden box, the voice of the immortal emperor's soul carried a faint coolness. Ancient King Xian and others were all stunned. Yes, logically speaking, the immortal realm should not be like this. You know, billions of years ago, the immortal realm was extremely bright, and the first immortal emperor in the world was born one after another, such as Yu Huang. By analogy, even the existence of the quasi-immortal emperor realm may have existed. But why did it arrive? Now, hundreds of millions of years have passed in the entire immortal realm, and the highest combat power is still the immortal king? Is it because the birth of Huang has exhausted the luck of the world? King Xian guessed. In the past, a little bit of the ancient king's true spirit wandered the long river of history and witnessed part of the historical truth. In that ancient picture, the dark immortal emperor once said, "The birth of Huang took endless years in this world. The accumulation and luck in the past are the result of the achievements of heaven." Unexpectedly, after hearing King Xian's answer, a disdainful laughter came from the black rotten wooden box. Hey, those were just words used by the main body to attack Huang. In fact, at their level, how can they still believe in the achievements of heaven and earth? When you reach that state, the only thing you respect is yourself. Maybe the world does help you in your growth, but the most important thing is yourself, and it can only be yourself. In these billions of years, the reason why the immortal realm has never given birth to a being stronger than the immortal king is because the upper limit of this world has been locked. If the way of all heavens and worlds is complete, existences of higher realms can naturally be born. But the part of the world that was infected by darkness separated independently and created the realm of darkness. From then on, the way of all heavens and worlds is no longer perfect. Living beings who want to practice to a higher realm have become a luxury. No matter how talented you are, what if your talents are unparalleled? All paths are incomplete, and the immortal king realm is the highest limit. No one can escape this ending. And all of this is naturally the work of that mysterious Hunyuan. Locking the upper limit of the strength of this land of heavens and worlds, it can only give birth to existences below the immortal king realm. In this way, there will be no more disturbances and changes. The entire chessboard will never be out of his control again. The immortal emperor's soul spoke coldly, telling the most terrifying truth in the past billions of years. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 351. So, is this the real truth? The words of the immortal emperor's soul in the black rotten wooden box made King Xian and others feel as if they had fallen into ice, and their whole bodies were as cold as ice. No one expected that there would be such a monstrous secret hidden behind the Dark Realm. It turns out that the birth of the Dark Realm is not a natural result, but a dark change caused by a drop of black blood dropped by the Supreme Hunyuan. The birth of this dark realm is not just to harvest the darkness of all realms and provide power for the revival of darkness at the end of the sea of all realms. It is also necessary to lock the upper limit of the strength of the heavens and the world, so that it can only give birth to beings in the realm of immortal king, and no higher. In this way, all hope in this world is truly cut off. Because the inability to give birth to an existence above the immortal king realm means that a desolate existence can no longer be born. Moreover, when the darkness at the end of the sea of 10,000 realms truly revives, no living being can resist it. There is no need to even wait for the mysterious Hunyuan to arrive, all the heavens and worlds have been infected by darkness. Wouldn't such a result be disappointing? And what caused all of this was just a drop of black blood dripping from the mysterious Hunyuan. If the other party's true form comes, who among all the heavens and worlds can resist it? King Xianmo and others could not help but feel despair in their hearts. At their level, no matter how many difficulties await them ahead, they have an indestructible, rock-solid Taoist heart and will not be easily defeated. However, for them, the news that can cause them most collapse and despair is not that darkness is about to fall. After all, no matter how terrible the darkness is, there is always a glimmer of light and hope. What really makes them despair is that the upper limit of strength in the world is locked in the immortal king realm. In other words, no matter how hard they gain enlightenment, they cannot break through to the realm of the immortal king. Today, they are already at the true pinnacle among all the heavens and realms, and there is no way they can get any further. For these strong men who aspire to a higher realm and have lived for a long time just to break through to the immortal king, there is nothing more painful and desperate news than cutting off their way forward. If the immortal king realm is really the limit, why don't I feel this limit at this moment? The ancient king spoke, with a hint of reluctance in his voice. His cultivation level is one of the highest even among the immortal kings. If there really is a peak in cultivation level, then there is no such thing as doubt, he should have touched on it. Not feeling it? Haha, if you feel it, can it still be called Hunyuan method? Inside the black rotten wooden box, the immortal emperor's soul sneered. Nowadays, do you feel that you are always making progress? Even if you are in this state temporarily, will you transcend it sooner or later? Let me tell you, this is all your illusion. Your strength is indeed improving, but what's the use? If the Tao does not increase or decrease, it only increases strength, which is useless. So what if the strength is increased too much? Without the matching Tao, your power cannot be fully exerted. In this way, even if you practice until the moment when all the heavens and worlds disappear, your strength will still only be regarded as an immortal king, and you will not be able to achieve the status of a quasi-immortal emperor. Haha, the two worlds are cut off, and the path forward for hundreds of millions of creatures is cut off. With your talents, if this way of all heavens and worlds is perfect, you should be able to give birth to an existence in the quasi-immortal Emperor realm at this moment. What a pity, what a pity. So, do we still have a chance? King Xian smiled bitterly, only feeling that the front was dark. The communication between himself and others no longer had any meaning. Anyway, the immortal king realm has reached its limit. What is the use of further communication? It is impossible to escape this invisible shackles. If the realm of darkness is destroyed, will the two realms of heaven be unified? Pan King suddenly asked. When the other immortal kings heard this, they also looked hopeful. Destroying the realm of darkness and reuniting the two realms of heaven will naturally break the shackles and allow you to achieve a higher realm. Inside the black rotten wooden box, the voice of the immortal emperor's soul sounded very deep. However, in order for the two realms of heaven to be perfectly integrated and unified, it must be done by a being in the Delugo immortal emperor realm, in order to ensure that everything is foolproof. Otherwise, if you are not careful, the darkness of the dark realm will be integrated into the normal heavens and worlds. Then this whole world is really hopeless. Must it be personally operated by a being in the realm of the great Lugo immortal emperor? Xian Wang and others looked at each other. This condition is simply impossible. Where can we find the existence of the great Lugo immortal emperor? The only Huang has left this world long ago and went to heaven. But now, everyone, the upper limit of strength in the Tianwan realm has been locked at the immortal king realm. It is impossible to give birth to the existence of the great Lugo immortal emperor realm. In other words, even if the immortal realm side fights in the sky and destroys the dark realm, there is no way to wrap things up and complete the follow-up tasks. This is almost a dead end with no solution. Must the immortal emperor take charge? Standing aside, Duan Yun's Hung, who had been ignored by everyone for a long time, found it a little hard to understand when he saw the desperate faces and bitter smiles of the immortal kings. Isn't the existence of the immortal emperor realm far away in the horizon and right in front of you? I'm afraid the senior hiding in the black rotten wooden box can do such a small thing, right?